What did Jesus actually say about the end times? 7 warnings every Christian should know. Style, cinematic biblical documentary, photorealistic, historically inspired first century Judea, reverent Christian atmosphere, dramatic natural lighting, realistic ancient clothing and architecture, emotional facial expressions, epic landscapes, subtle film grain, 16 to 9 widescreen, consistent appearance of Jesus throughout, no modern objects, no fantasy elements, scripture focused and respectful. Important framing. Do not portray current events as definite fulfillment of prophecy. The story should emphasize Jesus' teachings, watchfulness, faithfulness, discernment, love, perseverance, and hope. 00 to 300. Opening. The question. Jesus of Nazareth standing on the Mount of Olives at sunset, looking over ancient Jerusalem, disciples gathered around him listening intently, golden sunlight illuminating the city, cinematic biblical documentary, photorealistic reverent atmosphere 16 to 9. Close-up of Jesus speaking calmly and seriously to his disciples, compassionate eyes, wind gently moving his robe, ancient Jerusalem visible in the background, dramatic golden hour lighting, realistic first-century setting. Ancient Jerusalem at dusk viewed from the Mount of Olives, temple glowing in the fading sunlight, disciples standing in silhouette beside Jesus, powerful cinematic composition. Narration theme. Jesus spoke about the end times, but did he tell his followers to calculate a date, or did he give them something much more important, warnings about how to live? 3 o'clock to 10 o'clock. Warning. Number 1. Deception. Matthew 24, 4 to 5. Jesus teaching his disciples with a serious expression, raising one hand as he warns them to be careful, disciples listening closely, ancient stone courtyard, realistic biblical clothing. Symbolic cinematic scene showing a crowded ancient marketplace filled with people listening to different teachers and religious speakers. Visual metaphor for deception and competing voices, historically accurate Judea. A person standing at a crossroads in an ancient city, multiple paths leading in different directions, subtle light illuminating the correct path. Symbolic biblical imagery, realistic cinematic photograph Jesus looking directly toward the camera with compassion and seriousness, darkened background, soft light surrounding his face, visual representation of spiritual discernment. On-screen scripture. See to it that no one deceives you. Matthew 24, 4:10 to 17. Warning number 2. Wars and troubles. Matthew 24, 6 to 7, ancient armies moving across a distant desert landscape, soldiers carrying historically accurate shields and spears, dust rising beneath their feet, cinematic wide shot, no graphic violence. Ancient city under tension as people gather anxiously in the streets, distant soldiers visible beyond the walls, dramatic cloudy sky, realistic historical documentary style. Families inside a humble first-century home looking worried while hearing distant sounds of conflict, warm candlelight contrasting with darkness outside, emotional cinematic scene. Jesus teaching his disciples on the Mount of Olives, calm despite the serious subject, disciples visibly concerned, Jerusalem behind them. On-screen scripture. See to it that you are not alarmed. Matthew 24, 6, 1700 to 2400. Warning number 3. Earthquakes, famines, and suffering. Ancient village after a powerful earthquake. Cracked stone buildings and frightened but unharmed families helping one another. Dust in the air. Realistic historical setting. No graphic injuries. A drought-stricken ancient Judean landscape. Dry fields and empty water containers. Families searching for water. Dramatic sunlight. Emotionally powerful but respectful. A compassionate family sharing a small amount of bread with others during hardship. Warm light highlighting kindness and generosity. Biblical documentary realism. Jesus comforting suffering people in a first-century village, gently reaching toward a grieving family. Compassionate expression. Soft sunlight breaking through clouds. Narration emphasis. Jesus described these events as the beginning of birth pains rather than telling his disciples to panic. 24 minutes to 31 minutes. Warning number 4. Persecution and endurance. Matthew 24, 9-13. Early Christian believers gathered quietly inside an ancient home, praying together by candlelight, expressions of courage and faith. Historically inspired biblical scene. A Christian believer walking alone through an ancient Roman-era street at night, carrying a simple cloth bag, determined expression, moonlight and torchlight creating dramatic shadows. A group of believers encouraging one another despite